Guys, you remember WARIO Land? Incredible, incredible.
I, in fact, did not remember. When I'm not out playing things from my ever-increasing backlog or wasting my life for the last 10 years, I'm probably playing a game no one really knows or cares about, which has led us today to the Virtual Boy. Truthfully, I was contemplating even doing this. I genuinely thought WARIO Land 2 was the next stop on my list, but I mean, when's the last time you've heard anyone talk about this thing since the AVGN video years ago or the most recent Nintendo Direct? My point is, the Virtual Boy is the system most forgotten, and the few who do remember usually don't have anything nice to say about it, myself included. However, as of recently, I've found myself more curious about it than ever. I've never played any of the games for the thing, let alone seen the actual console out in the flesh. And as much as I'd like to do the latter and buy one, the cost alone is enough to make a vine tangle. So I ended up biting the bullet and finding a way I could play some of the games in, well, a way I could. I mean, it's kind of a lost piece of Nintendo history if you think about it. Honestly, I was also thinking about doing something about Wario Blast. I made an off joke about it in the first game's review, but I decided against it seeing as it's just a Bomberman game, but they slapped Wario in it. That's kind of all there is to it. Not much really to talk about. However, it's not completely off my radar because that Bomberman game wasn't only reskinned with Wario. No. It was also put into another series I hold quite dear. Oh, we'll get there in due time. Before I even get to the star trashing, I'd also like to talk about some other Virtual Boy games I ended up trying because when the hell else am I going to talk about this thing? It's a system from 1990 whatever that claims to be portable, but there is no way in hell this thing is supposed to be portable, let alone played in the house. Seriously, it's such an anomaly. It's got a kickstand and it's just where does it start? Where does it end? I've always been confused. Kind of interesting to see it even exist, though. In the 90s, anything virtual reality was just being born in its very early stages. Plenty of companies were trying to capitalize on it, and Nintendo was no different. So I can at least see where the idea came from. Give kids a small taste of VR the Nintendo way. I just don't know where the red and black idea came from. It's a very hard color scheme to look at for a long period of time, and I think Nintendo knew that themselves. I mean, most every game on the system has an automatic pause feature that will have the game go into a sort of sleep mode until you press A again. I guess so you can go rest your eyes for a little bit and come back. To no surprise, the Virtual Boy was a failure on every market, and for pretty foreseeable reason. The Game Boy was still going strong, and the SNES was still pumping out great games too. This N64 wasn't too far away from the release either. We just didn't need the Virtual Boy to exist. But despite that, I always kept thinking that Nintendo still loves the Virtual Boy more than a lot of things. They kept referencing it every now and again, especially in anything WarioWare related, which also another thing we'll get to. And if I poke more fun at the Nintendo Direct announcement recently for it, they said they're gonna strip my weed, so I have to shut up. Can't help but wonder why Nintendo still has a hard-on for this thing, ever since the whole Nintendo Labo thing too. I mean, VR is more accessible than ever and being constantly improved to the point of having absolutely massive games in VR. How the f do people record shit like this? Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. Much better. I'm getting off topic. Whatever. Before we talk about the wah, let's see what else this thing had in store, eh? To no surprise, I'm going to be emulating these because A, I'm not made of money, B, I value my eyes, so I made it into grayscale, and C, and I may be a suck-up for Nintendo with my whole branding, but I am not buying that freaking modernized version. First time Mario ever had a tennis spin-off. I'm guessing this is before Camelot showed up to the meeting. The character roster is kinda disappointing. Only 7 characters? It's not even the Super Mario Kart roster because there's no Bowser. Not even Wario showed up, but we still have DK Jr., I guess. I think that makes a total grand appearance of 3 for this character. I don't have a lot to say about this one. Truthfully, it's just some tennis with Mario characters, and not even to the extent of the Camelot games. Either just single matches or a tournament. The perspective is a little strange, though. It's pretty hard to see where the ball is, and I can't imagine it would look any easier in red and black than it does in gray and black. You only get 3 types of shots, it seems. A normal shot, a higher shot, which may be a lob, and a spike shot by holding it upwards and hitting either button. It's a little bland, but I guess that's all we could do with the controller itself. I'm just too used to Mario Tennis Aces. I'll get to the chase and say I got flushed both times I tried doing the tournament. I thought maybe a different character would help here, but they kind of felt the same, strangely enough. I'm sure if you got used to the perspective it would be alright, but it didn't hold my grasp very long. For some reason, the tourney lasts 6 games? I thought it was only 2 that made a set. Maybe I've been playing tennis wrong. Or maybe Camelot's been programming them wrong. I'll come out the gate and say it. This game freaking rules in my book. It's a newer take on the Mario Bros. Arcade style where you can throw shells in the background or foreground. Despite how it looks, this game feels great, honestly. It's just a fast-paced, score-based game you can pick up and play. If this was on any other system, I really do think it would have been a slam dunk. I seriously think this is a hidden gem we have on our hands. You have multiple types of enemies, probably more I didn't record that much of. Some can be hit directly with the shell and some need to be hit from across the stage. Positioning is a little steep to learn, but I think this game actually uses the Virtual Boy strengths the highest that any other game on the system could, or at least the ones I've played. Alas, I am bad at the video game and I didn't get very far. Go figure. I really did enjoy this one though, and unironically would recommend it if you were curious about anything on the Virtual Boy. Holy shit, Atlas made a game on this freaking thing? Now I've seen everything. Admittedly, I don't know a lot about the Shin Megami Tensei games, let alone the Persona games outside of Tactica 5. So maybe I'm not the target demographic. But that's okay, because this isn't an RPG. It's actually It was actually a little harder to explain than I originally thought. Let's go step by step here. First, you get to pick a 3 characters.
Looks like Pumpkin Hill.
Rattle me bones!
The game drops you into literally a dungeon where you're crawling around looking for keys before dropping to the next floor. There's actually quite a lot of enemy types and mechanics at play here. Honestly, I may go back and make a proper Yap session out of this one. There is a lot more of it than I just got to. You're constantly on a timer where getting hit drains the time less, but I figured out that old Jack the Ripper over here just tears through most enemies with a close-range machete. This game gets pretty hard pretty quick, but I believe it gives you infinite continues to aid you in that. Unfortunately, we've got to get a move on, so I may come back at a later date. And finally, it's time for the main event. Wario Land on the Virtual Boy. Or as I'll end up calling it, Wario Land VB.
It's Wario. The diabolical one has gone 3D, where evil runs deep and danger comes out of nowhere in the most incredible adventure ever seen on Virtual Boy. It's Wario Land, a 3D game for a 3D world.
Wait till they get a load of me!
I'll admit first and foremost, this isn't a blind playthrough. While I did never look up a guide or anything, I did play with in front of a few of my friends in the Discord call a few days before I recorded this, and I'll also admit I missed a few things in that first playthrough. I guess that does kind of dampen a few things, seeing as I already know what the game would throw at me, but we'll get to why that honestly doesn't matter too much later on. Like last time, I'll quickly recap the plot via the manual, and I actually made sure to find the manual before I started editing. Go figure, the bare essentials. After the events of Wario Land 1, I assume, Wario travels to a place known as the Amazon River Basin. I really don't mean to pronounce it like that, but it's Amazon. After he lands in a seaplane, he finds this place to rest. He's suddenly awoken by the sound of strange little creatures carrying something behind a waterfall. Wario, always the one to strike it while the iron's hot, follows after him and finds the vault presumably full of treasure, but due to the disturbance, the treasure floats off and the floor crumbles before Wario. Now he's determined to get both the treasures and to get out alive. While the story is quite fitting for Wario, I've always considered this game to not really be canon to the continuity of Wario Land, and I think it'll make better sense whenever we get to Wario Land 2 proper. Just for the sake, just take it as an off adventure for Wario. And we're thrown right into it with Wario getting out of the ground. No map, no level select, we're just in the game. The game knows why we're here and it ain't gonna waste our time. Speaking of that, the game gives me a lot to talk about in the first moments too. For one, we're still using the Wario Land 1 system of lives, hearts, and coins, all working the same way too, but the timer has changed quite a bit. 20 minutes? How long do they expect me to take in this? Good lord! Despite what the timer may lead you to think, the levels are not terribly long. Most are about 4 to 5 minutes on average, so I don't entirely know why they gave you that massive of a timer. Even if you're exploring every nook and cranny, that should take you 20 minutes. Bah, I'm worrying too much. Alongside the timer, there's a box next to it that's actually just a repurposed key. Instead of being what gets you a treasure door, you have to find a key in every floor to leave and move on. It's actually quite a good overhaul, seeing how now you actually have to look around the entire level just to get out of it. It also gets rid of the paywall door I didn't like much in Wario Land 1. But if the key's now the way out, then how does the treasure work? Quite simply, actually. There's a treasure in each main stage, and a total of 10 in all. To find where the treasure is, you just simply need to find the door that leads to the hidden room. These doors are usually out of the way and need some exploration to find, which I also think works in the game's favor. Sometimes they do kind of throw them in the main path though, and other times they like to hide them behind destructible terrain that's kind of impossible to guess. Like, come on, how would I have guessed it was there? Most of the treasures aren't terribly hard to find if you're actually bothering to look for them in the stage. So, it's nice of them at least. Power-up system has changed quite a bit too. While it mostly follows the same formula and has the same power-ups, they did change it a little bit. And I'll just need you to stay with me on this because it's going to get a little convoluted. Small and base Wario are completely unchanged from Wario Land 1, meaning you still probably don't want small Wario if you can really help it. The bull helmet has seen quite the buff. Its charges are faster and its momentum as a whole just seems much better. It's honestly just really fun to speed through obstacles in the entire level with this thing. Still has the ground pound, which is also really good, but it lost a ceiling hang, which I didn't really even use that much in Wario Land 1, so don't really think that's that big of a casualty. Then we get into the more major changes. The rabbit hat is now an eagle hat and allows for close to the same flying capabilities as the rabbit hat, though it starts to drop a little quicker. And you have two dragons now. The sea dragon, I'm just going to end up calling it Seadra, that's what I wrote in the script, is the basic flame power. Still supporting a flamethrower, but now it's a press and hold attack instead of the press one and let's fizzle out. The other dragon, the king dragon, or I'll just call it the dragon power since, well, you'll see. It combines both the flying capabilities of the eagle hat, gives a piercing fire projectile, and allows for ground pounds as well. In short, it's the best power, no contest in any way, shape, or form. But it's kind of weird. See, a tier 1 like smaller base Wario can take a bull helmet. A tier 2 like bull helmet can take an eagle or fire power. And a tier 3 like eagle or fire can take one of the other of its tier to make the king dragon power. Does that sound confusing to you? Because it was very confusing to me when I first did this. The thing is, you can't go down a tier, meaning if you have an eagle or fire, you can't go pick up a bull power-up, meaning that if you can't find another one of its same tier, you just can't get ground pound, so you'd have to just take hits so you can get a small Wario and grab 2 garlics or a bull helmet. It's not something that's ever been a problem for me, but I can imagine it's been a problem for at least someone, though. Speaking on being convoluted for a Virtual Boy game, this game does actually use the tech that the Virtual Boy allowed for pretty well. Kind of in the same way that Mario Clash did, by allowing you to hop between the background and foreground, and enemies are also allowed to do it too. It's quite interesting, but I'll admit I didn't think too hard about it, seeing as Well, not to shill out about it. Anton Blast used the exact same mechanics in it as well. Actually, now that I think about it, a lot of this game went into Anton Blast. Bah, I'm getting sidetracked again. That's kind of the main gist as always, though. Get money, get treasure, and now enjoy Wario and the power of the Virtual Boy. You know, what if I wanted a virtual girl? At the end of every level, you go up a mine shaft to the next floor, but not before... Oh no, not again. An option to play a heart or a coin game. I'll say it quick because I only did each of these once. The coin game is the exact same gambling shit from WARIO Land 1. Moving on, we're not talking about it. The heart game this time is actually pretty different. The hearts will start moving out from a pipe that you have to jump in between the foreground and background to collect them. Now, honestly, it's a much better improvement over the first game's one. Or at least it makes a lot more sense than throwing bombs. Moving swiftly on. Floor 2 is kind of the same mines and underground look, so nothing to really report on. We do get our first taste of Besieger power here, and the fire blocks that are in the way. There's also this cloud thing that when you throw an enemy into, it'll turn into a big coin that'll give you 20 in this game. Ah, sweet, they brought these back. Floor 3. Underwater. I ain't even gonna question how that works. This game does actually have a few water stages, but all of them are in the first handful of levels. The swimming feels much better in this game, admittedly, and the Besieger fire makes the enemies a non-issue. Most of them, anyway. This level gets a little trigger-happy with the destroyable terrain and secret areas, though. I don't mind the secrets, but they only grant you a handful more coins and maybe a power-up later into the game. They're really not worth losing sleep over. The level does give me a little time to talk about something about the Virtual Boy. As a whole, as much as I think the sprites do look really great on some of these games, especially on WARIO Land, the music department takes a hit. Especially with this one. The heavy bass-like music is a staple of Wario, I understand that, but whatever audio chip they have for the Virtual Boy just kind of sounds off. Especially since, realistically, if you were playing this on actual hardware, this is going to sit right next to your ears the entire time. It's not exactly what I'd call awful music, but I didn't like it nearly as much as the first game's soundtrack. Whatever. Now we're finally through with this level, we have the first boss coming up here. Before every boss, there's this little... Actually, I don't know what it is. Kinda looks like a robotic fist with a face. Whatever. Anyway, you gotta defeat this thing before every boss. The later ones get different attacks, but they only take 2 hits before they crumble and let you in. The boss proper arrives. And the music's all tense. A rock for skull ball? What looms in the distance? Is that a fire squad, sire? Alright, in reality I have no idea what this is. I want to say it's a kappa with a spike ball on its head, but hell if I know. Regardless, the boss is extremely simple. He'll swing a spike ball to you 3 times before hopping over to hit you directly with it. Just jump on his head 3 times and we're done here. Like Wario Land 1, you get showered in money after every boss, minus the final boss. It's a really good way to rack up your money, actually. Hell, the first one alone gave me 900 coins. Talk about it. Now, with the first boss done, we're about a 1/4 of the way through the game already. I did mention it's quite short, probably because, you know, Virtual Boy eye strain. Can't say I blame him for that decision. Moving on, and floor 5 is... a jungle? Alright, now, I'm just really lost. It has these weird rotund furball looking things. They can either throw these spike balls at you, like literally the spikes from Mario 3, or these spears when they're in the tree. I think they're exclusive to this floor because I don't remember seeing the sprites again afterwards. They aren't very scary enemies to deal with anyway. This floor is also where we get the first taste of the ego power for the... And oops, it's already the dragon. Yeah, the game was wasting no time showing it to you. At this point, most of the footage becomes a blur together because I either gun it to where the treasure is, the key is, or I'm mindlessly blasting away looking for secrets in destroyable terrain. What's to say about being an overpowered menace? Virtual Boy sure is a mystery when it comes to these things. The treasure here and into water level were the 2 I missed the first time around. In my defense, I think they're hidden a little too well, but I could also just admit I'm not good with secrets. That's why I shouldn't expect me to play a Metroid game for a very long time. You are gonna hear me scream. With that all done, we move on to floor 6. Seems overrun by river rapids. How rude. God, this writing is tight. The beginning of this floor shows off how busted the dragon power really is. Having flight and a big piercing projectile in a game where your sprite takes up like a 12th of the screen is absurd. After the rapids, there's another small swimming session where you dive down, you find a pipe, and it has a weird switch inside. Climbing the waterfall while furiously mashing A, you'll find another switch. I don't know what they do. Ah, oh shit! Warn a lady next time you do that, will ya? Whatever. Treasure obtained. Time to get out of here. Ah, hell, I forgot the key. Time for a walk of shame. Truthfully, this ended up happening twice because I flat out forgot where the key was. Wasn't nothing to go back and grab it, but it was kind of funny seeing the reaction of why the hell ain't the door opening? Next up, floor 7. Ah, wait, sorry, it's actually a break time. Hold that thought. Okay, floor 7 for real this time. A sand-covered landscape? I give up trying to piece these together now. As you guessed, the sand drags you down if you step in it. There's these tornadoes that can carry you across these plants. Learned my lesson, those plants don't worship the queen. One cheating of death later, there's a big ruin section with even more water, but it's only there for the key. The treasure is up above all that, which was a sort of precise jump. I really guess they were banking on everyone keeping the dragon power, because if you lost it, you'd just kind of be screwed here. We're breezing through this. I did say this game was much shorter, and we're already on the second boss, and furthermore halfway through the game. The fist thing this time around shoots these missiles. Nah, it's nothing really we can't handle. It's pretty straight. Proper boss now, and it's a tithing sandworm. Honestly, that's probably the most normal thing this game has done in a while. I'll take that. The boss is as easy as can be, though. He'll make a noise before he dives down at you, and when he pops up, he'll only look at the direction of where you were standing, not where you are. Hop on him 3 times, and we're moving on. But not before showing off the Wario style. Totally playing that. Floor 9 coming up. Oh, it's like a fruit factory. It reminds me of DK Tropical Freeze. Ooh, I love that game. Bleh, sidetracked. Anyway, the main gimmick here is these fairy-looking things. I think the manual says they're bees, but nah, that's a fairy. They'll either drop a bomb or a watermelon, and you can grab the watermelons. You have to time dropping the melons onto a spring just right so you can either progress or get the treasure. It's a little janky and the timing doesn't feel that consistent, but it's not that bad. Outside of that, the level is mostly a straight line. I did crouch for most of it because the level is home to these plant-looking things that hurt you with spores. They kind of shoot like they do in Mario World, though I'm pretty sure it's surprisingly different enemies. I died to them a lot on my first playthrough, and I'd like not to repeat that mistake. Past that, presto, we're on to floor 10, which is a haunted manor. Hey, we're stealing the Luigi series before it even happened! Jokes aside, the manor is arguably the largest stage in the game. Have tons of alternate routes and side paths, but the route you must go isn't too bad. The level does have these Phanto-looking mini-bosses that spawn free of itself that you gotta throw back into it and knock it out. It's a little annoying after a bit, but honestly nothing major. The key here is something major, though. There's a bunch of these clocks, though, in the manor, and when left alone, they'll spawn a chicken that drops a bomb to avoid. There's one specific room that has a clock where the hands are going the wrong way. When the cycle is done, it'll show a key. I almost never found this thing my first time. I actually almost ran out of time here because why would I look for that small of a detail? Ugh. Manor be done. 411 coming right back at ya. Ah, hell. Literally. It's the fire level. This is another one that I struggled with a lot on my first playthrough, though I'll admit I just suck for that. This level also has a bunch of destroyable terrain and secrets. Mostly just a bunch of 1-ups. I got like 4 in the first minute of a stage. Well, the stage is pretty tough. I got through it no issue on this run. Did forget the key and how to do another walk of shame, though. Alright, on to the next boss here. The fist-looking whatchamacallit shoots long lasers now. Same deal as the missiles, really. Bonk, bonk, boss. The boss itself is actually the only one I'd say that really uses the background-foreground mechanic. It's a slime driving a teapot tank, and that tank ain't messing around. I actually got my first death here because I was trying to rush it. The bomb attacks it throws are quite unpredictable and hard to dodge even if you weren't rushing it. Second try goes much better though when we move on to the final level. Well, spare no expense on the sprite detail, game. They sure went all out. It was absolutely supposed to be a last endurance before the final fight, but in reality it's just kind of a maze. Before we even get that far, I take another death intentionally. This time just to start with base Wario and get the bullhorns. Why, you may ask? Because the freaking treasure door is right where you start. The level itself starts with a bunch of precision, for Wario, platforming, with these rotating spike balls around them. It's kinda tense, but you end up having to do it a handful of times to the point you start getting impatient. There's 2 rooms to start off with, but the one you want is on the top left. There's some weird flying thing shooting spike balls on your plane of a stage, but in the middle, there's a hidden pipe. It's another one of those how in the hell am I supposed to know that moments, but you actually need this one to beat the game fully though. The pipe section is actually quite easy. Just keep wary of the spikes being shot at you, and you have to go through the pipe path I think twice just to get through the key and to leave. But outside of it, it's a pretty simple level. Just starts off a little intimidating. And so, we've made it on to the final fight. One more fifth gizmo that shoots homing missiles this time. I don't know if I can jump on these or not. It seemed to be a crapshoot when I tried it. After that, we come face to face with... an actual hell demon? They put a hell demon in my warrior... What? So, Demon Head. Yeah, that's actually his name. Gotta slam into his nose 5 times to win. He only has 3 attacks, but I'll admit I get kind of impatient with how long you have to wait for him to be vulnerable again after each attack. The nose hitbox is kinda wacky and even worse when you're small Wario, so... yeah. Despite that, you can interrupt his attacks, but it's quite risky to do, especially the fire one. That's hard to spot in time on its own, but trying to figure it out for style points is one-way ticket to getting killed. Well, at least I did much better here than WARIO Land 1. I only died about 3 times total, so I'd say about a win. Bonk him 5 times in a no and say sayonara, Shadow. After defeating the spawn of Satan, a floor crumbles beneath Wario, and he's found right outside the vault door. This is where I gotta start explaining a few things. This game does have multiple endings like the first WARIO Land, but instead of what home you get, it's how you get out of the ruins. You may remember I said I only did the coin game once, but I did that for a reason. While coins can dictate your ending, that's only if you didn't get all the treasures. But the thing is, the treasures don't individually give you money in this game. They're a completely different condition where you open the vault. The treasures override the coins count as a possible ending. I wouldn't think so much about it if the treasure ending wasn't by proxy considered the best ending you can get. Technically it's all the treasures in under 2 hours, but that's not hard at all. This run was only about 52 minutes and I still messed up quite a bit. My point is, money doesn't really matter in this one because the game wants you to go after the treasures regardless. Unless you miss one, there's no real reason to worry about the money count. It's just so odd why they made it this way, but... regardless, I did get the best ending on my first try. So, what happens? How does Wario leave this place? What about a seaplane? Well, as the vault opens, Wario gets a very large bag of money, and a magic carpet, and what I can only assume is another genie lamp. Well, that's great and all, but what about the plane? Oh! Well, that's certainly an answer to my question. Yeah, so your reward for getting all the treasures and beating the game in under 2 hours is riding home on a magic carpet with a bunny girl. Presumably from the lamp, I guess. Oh, that's one way to end your game. And that's WARIO Land Virtual Boy. Neat little novelty for sure, but as I think about it more, I'm cross. On one hand, I do think the game improves its gameplay from the first game quite a bit with its better momentum and better exploration, but I can't really shake how the treasures override the coin count for the ending. I guess I should be thankful for making my job easier, but it feels like you can just really skip all the money-related aspects and secrets to just go gung-ho for the treasure. That's what the game conveys to me as the best accurate way to play the game. especially hiding by the time ranking screen now on the title screen. In short, I do think this game is quite fun and I enjoyed my time with it, but I think I hold the first game more dear to my heart. Despite that, do I think you should play this? Well, that's a bit of a loaded question, don't you think? Well, it's not the hardest task in the world to play Virtual Boy games nowadays. Unless you can make it in a gray and black colors or that curious about Wario's outing on the Virtual Boy, then I wouldn't worry about it. Plus, as I mentioned before, I have a solid reason I think that this game isn't even canon, but that'll wait till next time, when we actually talk about Wario Land 2. Probably. Until next time, my weeds and seeds, Piranha Queen out.
You bet you think you're some kind of a big shot, eh? Prepare for the old Charlie.